I want to ask John Dalton regarding this issue, but before I do so, I must also give some context. When we talk about Mr. Rahman, we're not sure which Rahman we are referring to. It could be Dr. Shafiqur Rahman, it could also be Mr. Tariq Rahman, who has landed in Bangladesh last December, on 25th December, and he said he has a plan. And of course, on that very day, I was comparing Mr. Tariq Rahman to the likes of Dr. King. And of course, me and Norman had a very distinctive analysis on that very day. I want to come to John Dalton. What is your aspiration? I know that for a fact that you have been working in Bangladesh for many years and you have experience observing elections not only here but also around the world. What are some of the implications that you find for Bangladesh? There are news that is coming out, maybe very small in the face of the festival-like feeling of election that is happening here. Some of the places the armed forces have intercepted those that they think that have broken electoral rules and standards they have been addressed with. And as for today, it is still going on. The vote counting shall ensue right after evening, and after the result is when people are going to understand who has won in this rat race.
Well, I think it's a wonderful statement that Sarwar has made about the aspirations for a peaceful election, free and fair. Let me just jump ahead a little bit and then I'll come back, okay? The next government is going to have their hands full with some very, very challenging issues in Bangladesh. The election is wonderful if it's festive and free and fair and so forth. But as soon as the 300 members and the 50 appointed women sit down in Parliament, regardless of what happens with the referendum, there are some very, very challenging issues that will confront them. Fiscal issues, education issues, health issues, the treatment of people with disabilities. I mean, this next several years is going to be extremely challenging for Bangladesh, and I hope that the people that are selected are up to the job. That's what I really hope for out of this election. The process is going forward. That's wonderful. We have to commend the interim government for setting the conditions that they wanted a festive occasion. They wanted everybody to be not just free and fair. They got the election commission behind them. The army is behind them with 100,000 troops deployed. So I'm hoping that there's nothing that can be said to interrupt the process of the election. I think it's really going to, however, the people are finally going to have a chance to speak. And the parties that are going to be contesting this, in addition to China, I think India is an active observer of the scene as well. And so for me, I want to look at what happens in the three divisions on the west coast, if you will, the Rangpur Rajshahi Khulna band that abuts India. I think the vote there is going to be very, very indicative of whether the people they're voting for protecting against some sort of incursion, right, whether it's religion or technical, or whether they're hoping for some rapprochement with India. So the party that gets elected there, I think, is going to tell us a lot about how people feel about the relationship with India. China clearly has an interest. I also want to point out that I think that one of the things that has happened over the last couple of months is that the future government has been boxed in a little bit by deals and arrangements that are going to be very, very difficult to unwind. I mean, everybody is happy about reducing the tariff from 20% to 19%, but that's chump change. That really isn't very, very important. And it creates much more problems for Bangladesh going forward in terms of trade and industry. So they're going to have to figure out how to deal with the influx of open market, if you will, into Bangladesh in a competitive sense. That's going to be a key issue in my part.
As you were hearing Barrister Sarwar Hussain talk about some of these issues of crony capitalism, and if we forget that these kind of extortion, this kind of like small businesses, as Sarwar sir has said, that they'd have to pay up to even stay operational. These things do not align with the motive, with the vibes of the July Charter as well as July 36th, what the movement, the platform that has caused this revolution government to come in as an interim structure. So it's important to understand, because fascism shall not be entertained, whether in the past, now, and in the future. How do you break down these issues?
Well, let me go back to what Norman had to say, which was a very, very positive foundation for growth and progress in a revived, a new type of Bangladesh. With all due respect, I mean, I think that all of these problems that were in the past, mentally, psychologically, we have to leave them in the past if Bangladesh is going to change. If we fixate on all of the things that were wrong before, all of the things that didn't work, yada, 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 this is the coffee shop Bangladesh mentality. Everything is wrong, nothing works, oh, we're going to fail, blah, blah, blah. I think we have to sort of put that aside, put it in our pocket someplace and say, okay, that's the way things used to be. But things are never going to be better if we fixate on all of those kind of problems. So let's talk about a couple of key issues, if I may.
Sure.
You recall that under the situation that we have now with the referendum, the 180 days following the election, Parliament will function as a constituent assembly to try to take all of the issues that were not specifically identified in the referendum and deal with them with some specific laws that need to be passed. Constitutional requirements of Article 142 of the Bangladeshi Constitution requires a two-thirds vote in Parliament, a vote, approval of the President, and a referral to a Parliament. So they're going to have to be very, very clear about what are the most important issues that have to be addressed there. The
Right.
people may have to be called back again to another referendum on issues like this. And there's nothing wrong with that. The more people get participating, the better off things are going to be. So the referendum, which has some legal issues and there's some problems with it for sure, it actually has spelled out a lot of the things that need to be thought through by the sitting Parliament. And I think that's extremely important in terms of how we approach this. But I also want to say something that just maybe I hope nobody takes offense. Rule of law, democracy, integrity, anti-corruption, you can't eat that. 25% of the Bangladeshi population is living in poverty. So focus on what needs to be done for the people, not what are the slogans that we need to put in place in order to make sure we have the appearance of democracy. Democracy means 3 meals at least on the table. It means a job for your kid. It means things that work in Bangladesh. It doesn't mean just the appearance of some system of government, whether it's the Westminster system or the presidential system. Bangladesh has to change the way they think about government. It's not politics. Government is governing, serving, making the people have an opportunity and a chance. That's not going to happen if people fixate on politics and slogans. Do your job, my famous friend Bill Belichick would say. Do your job. Focus on the people that need help. Okay? Forget about the past. Stop complaining. Move on.
Very important and very
That's
decisive.
I'm not a politician, but I felt
course.
I felt impelled to
Very-
say something about the fact that there's 25% of the population living in poverty. You know, I've been around to the rural areas in Bangladesh. Things are not like Dhaka. This is an extreme exception to the rule. Something has to be done about making life easier and simpler for all of those people who are living in poverty, for the 49% of the women who are not giving equal rights. This has to change. Not just we have speeches and all of that. No, you have to change your mindset in order to make sure that Bangladesh has a future. I'm sorry, Pankaj.
No. You don't have to be sorry, because this stage is an open platform to express opinions and, of course, debate ideas. I really enjoy